This episode of the Haunting You podcast is brought to you by VFX. Scare, entertain, and promote with VFX products. Learn more at vfxcreates.com.
But we are already at like 3 hours, so I think this might need to be 2 episodes.
Well, I don't think so. Like, once I actually start cutting out all of the interruptions we had, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We had lots of interruptions. Hopefully, listeners, you'll never hear about it. Hey, listeners, Keoni here. When I said that when we were recording, I was a little optimistic. Okay, a lot optimistic. When I finished the editing of this episode, it came in over 2 hours long. So I've decided to split our Hunter's Toolbox episode into 2 parts. Part 1 will be released today. That's what you're listening to on June 1st. And part 2 is going to be released on June 15th, halfway through the month. So you'll still get all of the Haunting You Hunter's Toolbox action that you want out of this episode, but you're not going to have to sit through a full 2 hours in one take. So for now, enjoy part 1 of our Hunter's Toolbox episode, and make sure to check back on June 15th because we will release part 2.
Coming to you live from the Chamber of Hunter Studios. This is Haunting You. I'm John Schelt.
I'm Keoni Hutton.
And I'm Leslie Reed.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Haunting You podcast, and happy June. Holy shit. What? Does anyone else feel like this year is just freaking flying by?
Yes.
A little bit.
Like, I can't believe we're in June already. Where is the time going? I'm very, very behind.
It's all Jeremy Bearimy. That's exactly what it is.
It's completely Jeremy Bearimy.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Like we're sitting at the dot of the eye.
Did I miss something? What is Jeremy Bearimy?
The Good Place.
Monster. The Time Knife.
Have you not seen The Good Place?
I have seen The Good Place.
Jeremy Bearimy.
I
That's
do not
how
remember
time
that.
flows.
That's how time flows in The Good Place or The Bad Place. Sorry, spoilers.
I do not remember that at all. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
I mean, it's kind of important. But
I mean,
yes.
The dot on the I is July and Tuesdays, if I remember. Is that right?
Every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday. That's right.
Fair enough. So yeah, the year is just going absolutely freaking crazy, and we are not getting nearly enough done. But we are making some kind of progress. And I want to share a bit of that progress before we kind of dive into the main topic for today's podcast. I'm very excited because I have the first iteration of the website for Sanguine Creek Estates published again. And it's not great. It's fine. Like,
It's
for
functional.
somebody, it's functional. It is definitely functional. But like for someone who is a self-taught web designer, I'm not very good at it. But it gets the point across. It answers the questions, and like that's really what I need it for, right? I want to talk about this a little bit because doing some new things with it that I think others could take advantage of. I'm using Google Sites for the first time. And I'm finding Google Sites way more intuitive to use than Ucraft was. And it's letting me use my own domain as well for free. In fact, everything is free. There's no cost on this at all. It's not charging me to use my own domain. It's not charging me to host it. It's included with my Google account that I have for Sanguine Creek anyway. So like, I don't know why I didn't look into this sooner.
Well, it wasn't great earlier. I mean, Google Sites has been around for a long, long time. I used to have one with Schelt.
Yeah.
They've made a lot of updates and changes to it.
That's fair. And I'm finding it's very basic. There are not a lot of features on it. And it's a little, it ties my hands a little bit on some of the things that I want to do because it's so basic. But it's free, and I use my own domain for free, and it gets the job done, honestly. Like, it's not flashy by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets the job done. If you want to check out what I'm doing, it's Sanguine Creek Estates, scehaunt.com. Go check it out, see what it looks like. Maybe it will inspire you to do your own website. And if you want some tips on it, reach out to me because I can help with that as well. I'm learning a lot. I was this close, John, this close to calling Infesty because I could not get our domain to work on it. I find it kept pointing to the old site that was not working anymore, but I figured it out on my own. I'm very proud of myself.
If I'm being honest, I'm a little disappointed you figured it out.
I was giving it one more day. I'm like, if this doesn't work, I'm calling Infesty because I'm stuck.
That would have been. Plus, he would have loved that. It's like,
He probably, yeah, you come crawling back. We miss you.
I would have kind
We
of
love
loved
you.
to see that.
Yeah, exactly. So we are making progress. Like with the website up, we can start populating it with all the information as we're figuring out what's going to be happening for Sanguine this year. And what I think we have figured out so far is we're going to be open on November 1st and 2nd. Haven't figured out time yet, but Saturday, Sunday, November 1st and 2nd, 2025. As always, admission will be free, but we are asking for donations of non-perishable food to support the Southern Maryland Food Bank, who is the primary charity that we support with this haunt. And we are sticking with the same theme and backstory that we have done for the last couple of years and are continuing to flesh out the asylum of Dr. Samuel C. Edwards, who very conveniently has the same initials as Sanguine Creek Estates.
Weird.
It's almost like Leslie planned that or something.
Yeah. Strange. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? I want to read the backstory that we have up on the website. And
I like that. That was really. I really
do you?
Like that.
That's why I wanted to read it. And feel free to suggest changes. Step into the world of renowned scientist Dr. Samuel C. Edwards. Dr. Edwards purchased the Sanguine Creek Estates in 1890, a former pox ward and hospital for those suffering from mental illness. Dr. Edwards seeks to heal unseen maladies with the latest treatments. His research has led to numerous breakthroughs in our understanding of the human mind. An avid historian, Dr. Edwards has sought to better understand the maladies that affected previous inhabitants of the Sanguine Creek in order to further his own research. What he doesn't know is that a malevolent spirit has been living in the Sanguine Creek for hundreds of years, preying on those who seek to acquire more than they've earned. I'm really happy with that.
I loved it. I thought it was
pretty
great.
solid. I like that. No notes.
No notes. Thank you guys. Thank you.
10 out of 10. No notes.
Building on what we have all done. Yeah. So this is all on the front page. We have the logo. We have a little bit of information about when things are going to be happening in the admission. We have the backstory, and then I've broken it out to the crypt and the asylum, and there will be subpages for each of those because the crypt will be open all month. The asylum will only be open the 1st and the 2nd of November. And then space in there we'll have the address out in a week before opening. All of our proceeds go to the Southern Maryland Food Bank. Learn more about them here. And then, of course, I have to have a sponsors section because I hope to bring in sponsors that will help us make the haunt even better. And the two primary sponsors of the haunt right now are, of course, the Haunting You podcast. Who'd have thought? Weird.
And same vein as those initials.
Yeah, exactly. And Southern Maryland Jelly Ball. Who's the owner of Southern Maryland Jelly Ball? Oh, it's me. That's why. Yeah. So our sponsors are a little incestuous right now, but that's okay. If any of you have like other businesses or things that you do, this is a great way to get your name out there along with your haunt. Sponsor your own haunt. Like I cannot emphasize that enough. Sponsor your own haunt. Why are you not sponsoring your own haunt?
Yeah.
This is even more so for us because Southern Maryland Jelly Ball is actually a subsidiary of Sanguine Creek Entertainment, which runs this podcast, The Haunted House, and Southern Maryland Jelly Ball. So, yeah, exactly. Everything is just tied together.
We get in the family, eh?
Oh, exactly. So, super excited with how the website is coming along. The homepage has most of the information that I want on it. I still need to flesh out the pages for the crypt, for the asylum, and then I'm setting up an FAQ as well because people have questions, and if I can answer those questions before they have to reach out to us, that's a huge freaking win because it means less that I have to do while the event is happening.
They will still reach out to us.
They will absolutely still reach out to us. But if I can minimize it, so much the better, or even make it, hey, this is super easy to answer. Go check out the FAQ. I'm going to be putting John in charge of answering all of the inquiries that we get as we get closer to this. So, John, take notes.
Do they have to be relevant answers?
Yes, they have to be.
Oh.
You know what? Maybe Leslie should be in charge of
Oh,
I
what?
should probably be in charge of answering questions.
Well, I have no problem answering them.
I know you don't. That's my fear.
We can start like these, question with a question.
Yeah, exactly. So, website coming along. Huge part of our marketing scheme is going to be right here on that website. But it's freaking June. And so that means we really need to be getting into construction and start putting shit together.
How's your door collection?
I have 3 more doors. So a little bit of progress. I lost 7 doors. I don't know if you remember this. I lost 7 doors in 2021. They were just too water damaged. They weren't worth keeping. And then I lost a couple more while they were being stored at my buddy's house for the last 2 years while I was gone. So I'm 9 doors short right now of the baseline that we had for the previous Sanguine.
Well,
So I need to bring in more doors. I have found 3 so far for free, and I'm just going to continue.
It's honestly
doing
not
my
half
hunting.
bad though.
Right? Like
that's not.
I mean,
it is not bad.
9 doors lost from our baseline. Like that's
a good spot to be.
It's
really
really
great
good,
spot to be,
especially
We
considering the
are-
fact that it's June.
especially considering the fact that it's June. We are way ahead of where we were in 2021 in terms of collecting material. Freaking huge.
So then, basically, what you're saying, as far as like checking that off, you're 3 doors down. I'm sorry, I had to work a little bit to get you to say the right words.
Well done.
You said you had 9.
9
Damn it.
I need 9, but I'm 3 doors down.
Sorry, right there.
I'm gonna have to put in a clip of a song right there. Which song would you recommend?
Oh Jesus, John!
I'm sorry, it was right there.
See,
That's
this is why we need you.
outstanding. Outstanding.
This is why we need you. It's so much more entertaining.
For the bad puns. That's why we need you.
Oh my god, it's so much more fun.
What? 3 doors down, blazer tag? Those aren't bad puns. How dare
Those are
you?
great. They're great puns.
Dare you? Although blazer tag was.
But yeah, Blazer Tag happened before we started recording. We were talking about Jelly Ball, actually. And John was talking about how we should give everybody cheap jackets, like a sport coat, and then have people play Blazer Tag.
Well, yeah, that's not mine.
Fair. I'm glad you can admit when you're stealing other people's stuff. We know you like theft. Intellectual theft is still theft.
John, the podcast is just less fun when it's Kay and I.
Accurate. So
We're an integral part of our humor.
you are absolutely the key.
It's more fun when it's all 3 of us. It's just
Absolutely. It's more fun with all 3 of us. So we are getting back into construction. I'm working on collecting materials, and we're going to continue pushing forward there. In the midst of all of that, we had a listener actually reach out to the podcast. Actually, let me get his name real quick.
fancy.
I know.
Hey,
I
that's
love it,
special.
right?
They were from Oklahoma, like yelling at us about, well, everything.
Yeah, his name is Breck. Breck is getting ready to open his first haunted house this year, and let me tell you what he said, because this will like make you guys
Feel warm and fuzzy inside.
feel warm and fuzzy.
Okay.
I'm starting my own haunt with the help of your podcast. It's in Ohio, and this will be the first year. Guys, we're inspiring someone.
Hey,
I freaking love it.
should have him on so we can talk about what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I told him. I'm like, that's awesome. Send us details. We'd love to help promote it. So as stuff starts to come together for him, he's going to do that. But super excited
That's
with
awesome.
what you're working on, Breck. But he asked me a question earlier in the conversation. Hey guys, I was trying to find the episode of the tools you all recommended in an early episode, and I cannot find it. I'm trying to get myself set up for success. Do you have a list of tools hunters need, i.e. set building tools and such? I love this question. And so I went back through our entire series of podcasts trying to find where we talked about it, because I know we freaking talked about it. And the best one I could come up with was episode 3, where we talk about layout. We're talking super early in our podcasting
Pre-Leslie.
experience. This is
pre-Leslie.
pre-Leslie. Yeah, this is just me and John. And
So
when we talked about layout,
for that one.
exactly. But when we talked about layout, all we just barely touched on, like, these are tools that I recommend. And since then, like, we have come a long way in our skill sets and our building. And I'm like, we need to revisit this as a topic by itself. We need to talk about the Haunter's Toolbox. What are the tools that we now use regularly, have invested in, that were worth the money and would recommend to anyone else? So this is another situation where we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of products, and we are not being paid by anyone for
any of these things,
for any of the products that we were talking about. In a lot of cases, if you want to pay us, please let me know.
We'll
We can
take
help
your
you.
money.
We can help you make that happen. But like, we are not being paid for any of the endorsements that we're going to make during this episode. These are literally just stuff that we love. And in many cases, like, it's going to be a little bit generic because any version of this thing will work. In others, I'm going to give you very specific, this is what I have, this is why I have it, this is why I love it. And I hope it helps you.
And this is where you can get it.
And this is where you can get it. So yeah, check out the show notes, because there will be links to all of the things that we recommend to help you find the stuff that we recommend the most. So
it also looks like, if you want a good sister episode 4 is construction technique.
Episode 4 is construction techniques. You know what? It might have been episode 4, not episode 3. One of the two.
But even still, that was our 4th episode from
same. Yeah, the quality did not improve much
ago.
from episode 4 to from episode 3 to episode 4.
So yeah.
Or see it better about episode 6, guys. Trust me.
Episode 6, quality skyrocketed at episode 6.
I mean, it really did.
And let's be honest, quality skyrocketed again at episode 10. Just saying.
I do, and I those early episodes always make me remember that very glowing review we got in Podcast Magazine. They write this lovely review about us, and you get about halfway in, it's like, this is great, and then you keep reading, and it's like, they haven't mentioned Leslie yet. This is kind of weird.
Poor Les.
Yeah. So easily forgotten. So hard to remember.
I think they listened to 1 or 2 episodes and then called it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we really want to talk about today. We want to talk about all of the tools that we have found that make our haunting easier. And I've broken them up into a couple of different categories. So we're going to talk about construction tools. We're going to talk about electrical tools, specifically prop building tools, what I'm calling event operation tools, stuff that I keep around the haunt when we're actually like opening things, and then makeup tools. And as
Vacuum
we're discussing,
has 2 U's in it, not 2 C's.
Vacuum. Wait a minute.
It's pronounced
I'm cutting vacuum. They are criticizing the outline that I sketched together in the half an hour before we started writing. And
no, I'm just criticizing your spelling as an engineer.
All I have to say to you.
I mean, did you spell vacuum wrong?
I did, yes. But you know what I didn't spell wrong? Anything else. So there's that.
Wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it. It's still early. We'll see what happens. So let's kick it off with construction tools, because it seems like a very good place to start.
Hey, and now I have sound of music stuck in my head. Thank you.
I was hoping that's what would happen.
At the very beginning. A very
good place to start. It's tough being theater kids.
And
it's tough
begin with ABC.
I was going to say, this is the advantage.
With do, re, mi.
We're never
Jesus
going to get through
Christ.
this episode.
No, we're not.
You fast forward 2 days or whatever when the episode comes out, and it'll say sound and music review. We just scratched the construction part.
I was going to say AI's going to have a.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
With this one,
little behind the scenes, little behind the curtain magic here. Podbean put out this AI editor that I love. Like, it does a very good job of getting rid of the ridiculous things and blank space. So it's made my editing go so much faster, right? Because I'm not having to stop and deal with those. It also develops I'm going to say,
episode summary.
Pretty thorough episode summary. And the stuff that it picks up on to summarize, just leaves me wondering sometimes.
Again,
Like, is it
AI
good, but it might be a little too good?
tool, not solution
Useful
and not
tool.
replacement for human interaction and
Accurate.
functionality.
Accurate. It is a tool. And you know what? If we were doing a podcasting tools, it would definitely be on my podcasting tools list. But we're not. We're doing hunt tools today. So let's stick with the hunt tools and not the AI.
Yeah. And AI cannot build you a set.
But it could build you a backstory that you can make, that you can then take and make good. It can give you the start of a backstory. Leslie's cringing. She's cringing hard.
This is maybe for
I have so
different
many
reasons.
problems with that.
Is one of them like this is exactly how it started the Matrix?
Skynet. Do you want Skynet? Because this is how you get Skynet.
Yeah. No, it's AI has been trained using stolen intellectual property.
Yes.
And
accurate.
narrative AI has been primarily trained using stolen intellectual property.
Also true.
So as you are asking it to write backstories, please be aware that it is using stolen intellectual property from hundreds of thousands of authors, both professional and amateur, to generate what you are putting together.
And you might get sued because you're stealing someone else's property.
Well, that, but it's just...
No.
Are you trying to suggest it's morally wrong? No, it's just lazy.
It's lazy. I have lots of issues with AI.
Clearly. But we do not have time to dive into them. I'm going to stop this line of questioning because I need to tell a story real quick before we dive into tools. And that's
One
because...
that doesn't involve AI.
Correct. I screwed up last night. I screwed up
Yeah, you did.
early last night. I just have to share the story real quick because I think our listeners would appreciate it.
What do you have to do to make this up to your children?
We'll get to that. So here's kind of what happened, right? Ashley's car is due for maintenance, and she and I are about to go out of town, and my mother-in-law is coming in to stay with the kids while we're gone. And so we're like, well, we want to get this taken care of so she has the car, no problems while we're gone, right? But the nearest Honda dealership is an hour away, 40 minutes away in Waldorf. So I'm like, you know what? We need to drop the car off tonight so they can do the maintenance on Saturday. Let's drop it off Friday night, and then we'll go see a movie in Waldorf because they've got a much nicer theater than the one that we have in our small town. And we'll just do a movie afterwards and then head home. So we figure out we go check out what movies are playing, and Thunderbolts is out, the new Marvel movie with all the anti-heroes that I really want to see. I'm kind of excited about it. And so like, great, there's a 7:30 showing. Let's do it. Get tickets. I go back and forth a couple times, checking the two theaters that are nearby, trying to figure out which one has the best times. 7:30 is the best one. Great. Let's book it, buy the tickets, and we're ready to go. We start heading over and get slammed by a thunderstorm en route. Like sheets of rain coming down so much that I am blind as I'm driving down the road. Trees are getting knocked over. And we get to one point where it looks like power poles failed because the power lines are laying in the street, but still separated by the, the top of the power pole. You have the three things that keep the lines separate. The lines are still separate. So it's laying across the road with all three lines in order, like a freaking electrified fence at a Jurassic Park.
Are you sure you're describing the scene from Captain America Civil War where they get Iron Man parents? Are you sure?
Well, I'm still here. So yeah. Anyway, am I?
Anyway.
So we have to divert around all of that. We finally get to Waldorf. We drop off Ashley's car, and now we're a little bit late for the movie. So we get to the movie. We buy snacks. My God, snacks are expensive, especially when you have children and you're buying dinner at the theater. Like,
you bought snacks?
I did. I bought snacks. I'm going to have to start sneaking it in because I can't afford it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So anyway, we get all our snacks. We get into the theater. We get everybody settled, and great. I needed to use the bathroom badly because I really needed a pee. So I go off and use the bathroom. Make it back just in time for the trailers to start. And trailers start coming on, and I forget exactly what all the movies were, or what the first one was. But the next three were very graphic horror movie trailers. And like the last one was for the new Conjuring movie, and that series messes me up in a way that no other horror movie series does. Like, it is a very effective psychologically mess me up horror movie, right? Props to the makers, because it is wonderful. But Ashley and I are looking at each other like, I can't believe they're showing these trailers before a Marvel movie. Yeah. So trailers finally end, lights dim down, and the movie starts. And there's no Marvel. They always start with the Marvel
Fancy little comic book thing.
Yeah, the fancy little comic book thing at the beginning of every Marvel movie. There's no fancy comic book thing at the beginning of the Marvel movie. It just drops right into what kind of looks like a 1950s scene of a couple driving a car. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is backstory for one of the characters, because that seems totally like something they would do. But Ashley whispers over to me and she's like, is this the right movie? And so I reach in my pocket and I pull out the ticket, and I can't quite read it because it's a terrible printout of the ticket. And so I'm like trying to shine my phone on it to get a little bit more light. And I see across the top of the ticket, Final Destination. I took my kids, my 9 and 11-year-old kids, to see Final Destination. And they, like, through all of the trailers, they're crunched up in their seats, hands over their ears, eyes squeezed shut. I'm blocking my youngest son's eyes so that he can't see anything. And yeah, so they were scarred. Close that door before the cat comes in. They were scarred more than a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they have to get you anything for Father's Day. I think they're done.
So to answer your question, no, we did not stay to watch the movie. As soon as we realized what it was, I whisper over at the kids. I'm like, come on, we're going. This is the wrong movie.
For whatever reason, when you saw like when they went through it, I was like, wait a second. You were like, oh, well, dang, wrong movie. Well, I paid for
it. I had that thought, but like, I remember the Final Destination franchise from when I was a kid, and that one scene of driving behind a log truck and
I have never seen any of the Final Destination movies, and I still know that scene. Yep.
That scene haunts me to this day. And I did not realize that it haunts me to this day until I lived in Oregon and I was driving behind log trucks every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, wow. Yeah. So we left the theater, went out and just kind of regrouped. And I was trying to figure out, like, well, what happened? Did I buy the wrong ticket? Did it print wrong? Were we in the wrong theater? What happened? And as it turns out, I actually did, in fact, buy the wrong ticket. Bought it on Fandango, and I was only looking at the showtime. I didn't look at the movie. That was what did it. There were no posters outside the theater. It was just theater number 7, and so just walked in and tried to take my kids to Final Destination. So afterwards, we're like, okay, we have a couple options. We could spend the money to the movie we wanted to see has already started. We could, try to get into that one now, or we could just go home and watch something else. And the kids were like, let's just go home. We're tired of this. Let's just go home. Except, remember that thunderstorm that came through, or that blew through? There was no power at the house. Thankfully, Ashley got a notice from our utility company that power was down. And so we're like, well, makes no sense to go home. So we went to Scary Strokes instead. Let the kids play video games for an hour. We did the mini golf, and then we went home. Got Cold Stone afterwards. And by the time we got home, power had been back on for like 20 minutes. And we got home like a little before 11. So it worked out much better than it could have. And the kids didn't even crawl into my bed last night because they were terrified. Like, everything seems to have worked out okay. But my God, I felt like a dumbass.
We've all done stuff like that. I was thinking, though, if you stayed for the money, I was like, no. A night of your child sleeping soundly is worth way more than a movie ticket.
And freaking tickets are average $20 a piece. So we spent $80 on movie tickets for a movie that we did not see, which was a little bit frustrating, but it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Oh, and they were like $6. Oh, it was a good time.
We were joking about it a little bit, like, I kind of want to see it. And Ash was like, well, if we had more than one car, I would totally leave you here and take the kids home. We just dropped the other car off, so no.
That's not an option.
If we're being honest, yeah, I'd be with Ashley on that.
100%. So there's the story of my dumbassery. Let's dive into tools. I really want to start with construction because that is really where we're at on the build cycle right now. And bottom line, you have to do anything time that you're doing any kind of construction type work, you have to be safe. So your safety gear is going to be the first thing on my list. And couple things, a good pair of safety glasses. You need to double check the safety glasses that you're using. Somewhere on either the rim or the side, somewhere is going to be stamped the letters Z91. If it does not say Z91, these are not safety glasses. Those are not safety glasses. They may be dust glasses or something else, but they are not going to stop stuff if it comes flying at you at high speed. So make sure your safety glasses say Z91. Also, a good pair of gloves of some kind. I like leather gloves because they keep me from getting splinters for the most part. And I do a lot of sketchy things with sketchy pieces of wood. So
Yeah, you do.
Nice heavy leather gloves.
Gardening gloves are not necessarily going to be an accurate or effective replacement.
Accurate.
You want gloves that do not hinder your hand movements because you still want to be able to feel what you're doing, know where your fingers are, especially when you're doing things that are like sharp cutting.
Yep.
And, I'm all for use what you got at home, but this is one of those circumstances where
it's worth the investment.
Proper tools will save you headache,
hours of frustration,
fingers down the line.
Yeah.
So
I love the Mechanics brand gloves that Home Depot sells. They are very rugged, but also have a lot of dexterity. They're about the perfect balance between dexterity and protection. I like them a lot.
Yeah, you definitely want to find that balance point.
I don't know, like for brands, I like CCM, Bauer, those kind of things. Those are good. Can you do anything with hockey gloves? Because I have several sets of those.
You can totally do things with hockey gloves, but you lose a lot of dexterity.
Get into a fight with hockey gloves.
Totally get into a fight with hockey, but you should probably drop the gloves when you get in the fight.
Well, this is true.
It depends, though. If you're trying to do it smart, you can always punch someone in the back of the head and then just let them like punch your helmet, and then keep your gloves on. They'll get 5 minutes for fighting. You'll get 2 minutes for roughing, and your team's got a power play. So there you go. Good strategy.
Other thing is a good dust mask certainly cannot go wrong. And for the most part, a simple dust mask is helpful, but certainly not necessary. But there are times when you're going to want either a dust mask or even a respirator, particularly if you're doing spray painting inside or
anything spray paint, anything with foam
work inside. Absolutely. You want a respirator.
Anything with chemicals. If you're up there and you're doing epoxy, resin, anything like that, you want to have a respirator. You want to make sure that you have good ventilation because
do it outside for that reason.
Outside, but protect your health and well-being is crucial.
Exactly. Because you can't haunt if you're dead. Wait a minute.
Well, technically you can't haunt if you're dead. You cannot effectively run your haunted house when you're dead.
Yes.
You can haunt it, but you can't run it.
But you can't run it. And it's very hard to build when you are a ghost.
Are dead.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture us like trying to come up with the haunts and working with with Kay's dead spirits. And
exactly.
I think it could work.
Yeah. So glasses, dust masks, gloves, or a respirator, and steel-toed boots is the last one, or steel-toed shoes of some kind. It's certainly not required. I have dropped a number of things on my feet and been very glad that I was wearing steel-toed boots. Yeah. I have no good recommendation.
If you don't have or do not want to invest in steel-toed boots, any good, solid, closed-toe shoe, and then be extra careful about where you're putting things and how hard you're holding on to things.
Indeed. I have no good recommendation on steel-toed boots because I just use my old military boots, and because they're cheap. I've already paid for them.
For the construction that you might be doing, any basic entry level steel toe boot is going to be just fine.
Yep.
If you're really into construction and building and doing all of these things, you probably have already invested the $250, $300 in the really, really good steel toed boots. At which point, why are you listening to us? You should be in the show helping.
Exactly. So there's your safety gear. Oh, one more safety gear that, again, I did not need it, but very recently got it, and my God, I should have gotten it earlier. A pair of knee pads.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. As I'm getting older, I am finding that like all of these comfort, I'm using the word with air quotes, comfort type safety gear is becoming more and more necessary.
Luxury.
I thought it was an unnecessary luxury, but oh my God, it saves my knees.
Yeah.
And then like I just picked up a cheap pair from Home Depot. Nothing special there. It Velcros on behind my knee, and it's so much nicer working on my hands and knees when I'm wearing knee pads.
Yep.
Okay, so there's the safety gear, right? Your basic toolbox. There are a ton of basic toolboxes out there, and I just want to highlight one version that I use. So I love Craftsman tools, right? I love the warranty that Craftsman Tools has. You break it, you take it in, and they will pretty much replace it.
Fix it or replace it.
They will fix it. Hand tools. They will pretty much replace with very little questions asked. And Craftsman makes a ton of like ready to go basic toolkits that will have like a hammer and wrenches and sockets, and it's your basic screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, and it's all of the most basic tools that a handyman could need for most things around the house. When I'm in a rush and like I need to go fix something at the arcade or fix something at the haunt, I tend to grab the one that I bought my son. It's a generic mechanics toolbox, but it has everything that I need for just a ready to go out the door.
If you're not doing anything specialized, it is your one-stop, everything in a locked box that you just grab, pick up, and go.
Yes.
It's going to have all your basics. It's going to have a few specialty, depending on if you get like the, stupid pink one to give your daughter, or you get one that's, blue and actually has stuff in it. Thank you, gendered toolkits. It's where you start.
It's where you start. And that's exactly why I'm bringing it up first. It's where you start. Craftsman has a ton of, they call them their mechanics tool sets or mixed mechanics tool sets. And I'm going to just pull a random one up. Here we go.
While you're doing that, it should be known when you say, and I just bring this up since I used to work for Sears, and I had a fair amount of people try and bring back like circular saws or drills or things like that. And ask for the warranty replacement, specifically saying because it was a hand tool, because you were literally using it with your hands. That is not how it works. You can't come in and replace anything powered, anything with batteries or a cord. They're not going to replace. So stuff like hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches, things like that.
Yeah.
These are okay. Again, just to give you guys a little bit more perspective. These are the types of tools that we will allow John to use with supervision.
Yes.
Pretty small list.
Accurate. That's fairly accurate. But like the one that I bought my son, it's the 102 piece mechanics tool set. It has 2 flathead screwdrivers, 2 Phillips head screwdrivers. It has a hammer, a measuring tape, Allen wrenches, basic knife, flathead pliers, needle nose pliers, and a full socket set, both metric and standard.
You guys don't let me hold the hammer.
Yeah, I do let you hold the hammer. Oh, and an adjustable wrench as well. So like it's a basic tool set, but it has most of the things that you could need on your day-to-day basis. It's a great starting place if you have no tools and are just looking for something to get you started. On that note, your measuring tape, the one that comes in this kit, it's a 12-footer. 12-footer, not going to do it for me. If I'm doing little cutting, sure, 12-footer might be fine. I carry a 25-foot measuring tape all the time, no matter what I'm doing, because it's the basic. I also have a 100-foot tape and a 250-foot tape for doing layout type work. It's super helpful to have something you can lay across a long ways and mark along as you're going. Very similarly, I have a laser tape measure. This is another one of those tools. Didn't need it early, but my God, it
Super
saves
useful.
time. My God, it saves time. I can stand in a corner, shoot, especially when I'm like trying to figure out how much space do I have to work in for this layout. I just stand in one place, shoot from me to a wall, shoot from me to that wall, shoot from me to that wall. And I very quickly know what the dimensions of the space I'm working in. And it's so much easier than having to have two people and run the 100-foot tape measure and stand here and mark. And like, do you need it? No. But my God, is it helpful? It's a time saver. And all the time I can say it's a plus.
You're getting started. Start with the basics. You decide that you enjoy doing this. This is something you want to keep doing. These are the things that you start saving for, investing in, and, building up your toolbox. Again, we've been building our toolboxes for decades. This is, and, laser measuring tapes, laser levels. I would fucking kill for a laser level. I do not do nearly enough to make a laser level worthwhile, except for the fact that anytime I need to level something, I desperately want a laser level. It's just one of those things that makes life a little bit easier. And the other thing too with these, are you doing this all by yourself, or do you have friends and family that are happy to come along and assist? If you're doing it by yourself, these might be things that are a little bit higher up on your need list, because you can do a lot with a laser level that you would need 2 people or 3 people to do with a manual level.
Exactly.
Just to give them an idea, what would the starting price point be for like a decent laser level be?
Couple $100.
There you go.
Yeah, it's not cheap, and that's why I held off so long on buying one. But same, now that I have one, my God, I love it.
Again,
you know what I use it for most?
Aggravation work.
That's it. Hanging pictures. I move every 2 to 3 years. Like every time we move to a new place, whip out the laser level, we can very quickly hang our pictures. Like,
and everything's even, everything's matching. You get that is literally, we don't hang pictures. We don't move. Well, actually, we've moved every 3 years.
We've moved a couple times, yeah.
But that would make life so much easier.
So much easier. I want to move on to some of the others, but before we do, let's take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and then we will dive into more tools that we recommend for the Haunter. Okay, moving on. Drill. Gotta have a drill of some kind. I have a DeWalt. I love Black & Decker. I love Makita. Brand does not matter as much. Some people will tell you it does.
It depends on
what you're doing,
how much you're using and what are you using it for.
Exactly. I had a Black & Decker 14 volt that I had for the better part of 10 years before it finally gave up and broke. When I did, I switched to a DeWalt. That one has been running for me for 15 years now. Like,
I was going to say, I think if they're really going for that, from what I remember selling tools, DeWalt is generally
I love my DeWalt.
If you really, really want it to last.
Construction professionals I know prefer Milwaukee.
Yeah. But there's price point difference.
There is a big price point difference.
You're going to pay for it.
You are absolutely paying for it. I think DeWalt is a good balance between price and quality.
DeWalt is a good balance. We've got most all of our tools are DeWalt, and for what we're doing, for the amount of building and construction and things that we do here, it does the job.
Yep, exactly. And drill, absolutely. I bought the combo set that had a drill and an impact driver.
I love our impact driver.
I love my impact driver, especially when I'm doing like screwing screws through 2x4s. The impact driver is the way to go because it punches the screw while it's turning. And so it will drive things in much more quickly, much more effectively than the torque on my drill can.
Yep.
And look at the voltage.
And if you're trying to put anything, if you're trying to use anything over a 2-inch screw and you're putting it into wood, you can do it with a basic screwdriver. You might need to do pilot holes. You might need to take a little bit more time on it. If you don't want to do that, impact driver is going to put a 3 to 6-inch screw through pretty much anything, including your fingers. So again, count your fingers, watch where you put them. Know where your body parts are in space.
Yep.
Otherwise,
100%.
ow.
Yes.
And expensive, ow.
And look at the voltage when you're getting your power tools. The higher the voltage, the more torque it's going to be able to provide. I recommend nothing under 18 volts for building haunts. I have an 18 volt. They make 20 volt. Somewhere in that range is going to serve you well. My Black & Decker that I used to have was 14 volts. It is a noticeable difference between what the two can do.
Yeah.
I was amazed when I upgraded to the 18 volt. I adore it. A crowbar. I love crowbars because I tear apart a lot of pallets. And when I'm having like when I break screws, when I'm tearing down haunts, like having a crowbar is very helpful.
It is an amazing multi-tool.
It is an amazing multi-tool. And right along with that is my hammer. I have broken a lot of hammers in my time. Now I only buy Eastwing. Eastwing is a solid piece of steel from the hammer all the way down to the handle. Solid piece of steel with a rubber grip. You will not break this hammer. I adore my Eastwing hammer. I cannot.
You're like, that's a challenge.
Tell you enough.
I was going to say
how much I adore
what
this
happens if we
hammer.
break one? What do we get if we do break one?
I legitimately don't know. I've had this Eastwing hammer since I was a teenager because of the number of wooden hammers I was breaking. Go with Eastwing. You will not be disappointed.
One thing with hammers, again, as we're talking tools, we're talking utilizing them. You have hammer, fulcrum. If you choke up on the hammer and you're holding it closer to the head, you have a lot of control, but you're not going to have a lot of power. If you pull back and you're holding it at the end of the hammer, end of the handle, you're going to have a lot more power, but you're not going to have as much control. So finding that balance point for how you're using it is going to be important. For me, I tend to choke up a little bit more because I don't like getting, striking my nails with hammers because it hurts like hell, and I'm really good at it. So I sacrifice power for a little bit more accuracy.
And on that note, like the size of the hammer you buy matters. The longer the hammer, the more power you're going to get, the more torque you're going to be able to apply when you're pulling out nails or ripping apart pallets, but it's going to be less accurate. If you have a shorter hammer, it will be more accurate. You're not going to get as much power. And weight matters as well, because you're going to be swinging that thing a lot, probably. And if it's too heavy, you're going to tire yourself out faster.
You're going to regret it.
But you're able to put more force into each pound. So it's all about balancing act, right? I have an 18-inch hammer and I have a 22-inch hammer that I use for different things. The 18-inch hammer is primarily for pounding. The 22-inch hammer is primarily for ripping apart pallets. Both are Eastwing.
Yay. My mind is in the gutter. Thank you.
I know. Always is.
Yeah.
Want to get hammered later?
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Other types of hammers, though.
Other types of hammers. Did you have mallets? Absolutely mallets. I didn't even think about that one. Mallets are rubber head typically, and they are fantastic for pounding things without leaving a mark. So, like, if you're trying to put PVC pieces together or take PVC pieces apart, a rubber mallet is the ideal tool for doing that because you're not going to break the PVC the way you will with a metal hammer.
The other thing that mallets are really, really good for, you've got your haunt put together, you've got all the finishing touches, you realize you have to put something on the wall or fix something, you don't want to mess up your facade, your paint job, etc. A mallet is going to be helpful where a hammer might end up causing you to do more work fixing the fix.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So and again, mallets, there's a lot of sizes of mallets. Just get middle of the road, decent size. That's going to give you a lot of benefit and help with pretty much anything you're going to do. And it's quieter too.
It is definitely quieter.
You're not endorsing the giant comically sized mallet?
Well, that's mine. I don't share those.
Okay. So I think we've hammered out hammers plenty. Let's move on.
So far in the show, how many of these tools that we've discussed would you be comfortable with me holding?
The basic toolbox.
Every one of them. No, you can hold all of them. Use none of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I get
In
that.
fact, the next one I would also let you hold. The next one is a sawhorse, and this is another thing. Is it needed?
So wait a second. I can't use the sawhorse.
You cannot use the sawhorse.
You can hold it.
Stands
hold
there.
it.
It doesn't do anything.
It'll fall over if you try to use it.
Accurate.
Because it's you.
What's a sawhorse? A sawhorse just stands there. It lets you put stuff on top of it so that you can saw it easily without cutting a table below it, right? They're super versatile. You can put them anywhere, pack them up, move them around. There are some made of wood. There are some made of plastic. You have to have, I recommend, go get a sawhorse of some kind because it's going to make your life easier.
Yes.
I have plastic ones. They're fine. Like, they do great things for me.
They do the job.
They do the job.
And again, as we're talking about all this, find what's going to do the job.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to go and buy the most expensive version of any of these things. Harbor Freight Tools sells everything that we were talking about today. And the quality, not great. But you know what? The price is great.
Yeah. And again, if you're just building a quick facade in your front yard, if you're just building, some tombstones that you want to make sure they stand up right, you don't need to go out and spend
a ton
thousands and thousands of dollars because, again, we've spent 20 plus years building up our toolboxes. It's expensive to just go out and to buy everything. So start with the basics. And then as you find that you need more things, then decide, again, is this where I want to spend? I want to invest. I am going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And trust me, your wallet will thank you for that.
Yeah. The other place I tend to get tools is estate sales.
Yeah.
Especially like hand tools. Hand tools are dollars. Couple of dollars up across the board. If that. Yeah.
You count about the last day, they're handing them out for
giving
free.
them away. Seriously. Absolutely. So estate sales to get a lot of this stuff. A ladder. A ladder is going to be needed because you are going to be doing things up high, probably. And so having a versatile ladder is helpful. The one that I have, let me pull this one up real quick because this one is absolutely worth talking about.
While you're pulling that up, speaking of terrifying things, usually when we're doing this, or heck, when I'm working or doing anything else, I usually turn on the TV, mute it, and then just turn it to NHL Network. Just because I have ADD, I like a few things to do.
Yeah, sure.
And they had something on the recent hiring of the Flyers' new head coach, and the screen, I guess there's just a glitch in the programming. The screen froze on Gritty, just with a terrifying look on his face.
That checks out.
Just
Isn't
froze,
that
and Gritty
always
just
his
Gritty.
face?
Yeah, Gritty always has a
Terrifying
look
on his
like
face.
I said, the screen froze at that moment, so it was just an unending stare down with Gritty. That's
outstanding.
That seems
terrifying.
Like standard for Gritty, but yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah. So the ladder that I own and love is a Werner multi-position ladder. And what's cool about this thing is it's really like 5 ladders in one, right? So it's very adjustable, where it can be your regular A-frame step ladder, or it can be a wall ladder where you can have it basically 90 degrees even to a wall with the part you're climbing up at an angle. Or it can be a stairway step ladder, so you can adjust the height of one side of the A-frame compared to the other side of the A-frame to be on stairs. Or you can break it apart into 2 separate ladders to make it a base for a scaffolding. Or you stretch the whole thing out and now it's an extension ladder. That's 5 different ways to use this one ladder with all with one ladder. You're not having to buy a whole bunch of different ladders. That's not to say I don't have an extension ladder that is taller and sometimes easier to set up than my Werner. But if you're just going to buy one ladder, buy the one that's going to let you do everything you need to do. It's pricey.
Yeah.
This one in particular, like the one that I have, was $200. It's listed right now on Home Depot, $242. It is expensive. It is the only ladder I have ever had to buy.
It's also probably the only ladder you're ever going to need to use.
Yes. And
so that's one of the nice things about ladders. You usually only ever have to buy one.
The only downside to it, it's a little bit heavy. Because it has all of that material in it, it is a heavy ladder. And so, like, I have a cheap 3-footed A-frame that I also have, because sometimes having a nice light wooden ladder to carry around is helpful. And that one, and because it has only 3 legs, I can get it tighter into corners than I can my Werner. That ladder, I bought it at an estate sale
For like $3.
for like $3. Exactly. So like,
As long as you confirm that's not how the person died. Be very careful.
Yes. I also want to make sure you get the lucky ladder, not the unlucky ladder.
I love my 5-in-1 ladder. I also like my cheap ladder. And then the third thing that, again, did not need this when I started, but my God, has it been helpful? A small scaffolding. The advantage of a scaffolding is you can set it up and you can move back and forth along the platform to do whatever you're doing. So if I'm painting a wall up high, the scaffolding is super helpful. If I'm assembling my crypt, which has 3 stories, it has 3 pieces that are stacked up on top of each other, it's super helpful to have one person standing on the scaffolding in front, another person standing on the ladder in the back to help maneuver all of these pieces into place. The scaffolding has been incredibly helpful. Harbor Freight sells various types of scaffolding for relatively cheap. And yeah, go to Harbor Freight if you're going to try to get scaffolding, because that's the way to go. The other thing that I'm only just now at this moment thinking about, when I do a lot of my high up painting, I tend not to use the ladder or the scaffolding at all. I use my stilts that I use for my costume, because that lets me literally move around the entirety of the haunt doing whatever I need to.
Cheating.
Absolutely, it's cheating. But you know what? It's super helpful.
If
It
works.
makes things go faster. Not everyone has stilts. Not everyone wants to learn how to walk. Totally get that. 100% totally get that. It is not for everyone.
It's a good pair of stilts then, I'm curious.
But, well, I bought my stilts at an estate sale.
Of course you did.
Dumb luck that I happened to find this pair of drywall stilts in the basement of some dude's house. But they are incredibly versatile. I use them for my costume, and since I have them and I already know how to use them, absolutely I'm taking them out when I'm building.
I feel like that falls under another, as you're buying the stilts, but like, so how did he die?
So how did he die?
It's just like, if they start off the conversation, actually.
Exactly.
I'm putting those back. So I have a question for you, since I have some familiarity with other brands of tools just from my days at Sears, but not that
Sure.
one. So for someone who may not be super familiar with it, tell me if this analogy is correct.
Go.
Would you consider Harbor Freight like the IKEA of tools?
Yes. That's actually really good. Yeah. IKEA or Harbor Freight
For those
is
that don't know, I have used
what IKEA is to furniture.
Harbor Freight.
Yeah. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I have a little bit more money. I want to invest in good tools that are going to last me a long time. I will rarely buy Harbor Freight tools at this point, with the exception of drill bits, because I don't have a sharpener for drill bits and I break them a lot. And so Harbor Freight drill bits, abso-freaking-lutely, I'm buying those constantly throughout the season, because it's not worth buying a really expensive drill bit, breaking it, and then having to go buy another one anyway. Like, I'm going to break them. I may as well buy the cheap ones.
Okay, fair enough. That's the only, well, same thing. Like, I think of IKEA, like I'll buy like silverware, glassware, things that I don't really need
honestly,
to be durable, but I'm not gonna.
That I don't care
Right, I don't
about the quality.
Right, I don't break a lot of forks.
Yeah,
Just in general.
exactly.
So it doesn't
Exactly.
really. I don't really need anything insanely expensive. But yeah, for like furniture and things like that, I might think about somewhere else.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
sure.
so yeah, I was just
That's a
wondering
really good analogy. I like that.
if you haven't used those ones, because I've used the other brands we talked about. I don't have a lot of experience with Harbor Freight.
Sure.
Okay,
So keep moving on the tool. Clamps.
you're a clamp.
Thank you.
Ooh.
You need all kinds of different clamps ready at your fingertips for a variety of different things. I have spring clamps, which are great for just holding things temporarily. I use it for hanging up tarps for the crypt. Spring clamps are wonderful. When I'm trying to build stuff and I just need to like hold this 2x4 here so I can go screw on that side and then come back and screw on this side. A good trigger clamp where you can actually like you pull a lever and it slowly closes down on itself and makes itself tighter.
Mm-hmm.
It means I can operate it with one hand and I don't need both hands. So I can be holding up 2x4, clamp it with the other hand, and it will stay there. I only need my 2 hands to do that. If I use a traditional bar clamp, I probably need both hands to operate the clamp.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't have nothing to hold the project. So yeah, absolutely freaking love my trigger clamps. That being said, C-clamps are incredibly useful for holding stuff a little bit more permanently. You can really crank down on them, put a lot of force on them, and they're completely made out of metal. So like they have just an enormous amount of holding strength. Quick secret here. I actually took a C-clamp with me on my last ship and clamped it around the I-beam in the overhead of my room, and then hung a hammock from 2 C-clamps so that I could hang out in a hammock and watch movies when I was underway. Don't tell the captain. But like these 2 C-clamps easily holding my body weight, and I'm a 220-pound man. Like, love C-clamps. If
I would like to hear your former captain lecture, though.
But like when I'm setting up the crypt and I don't want to permanently attach it to things, I use C-clamps for a more permanent hold that's not actually being a permanent hold. You know what I mean?
It's an easily undone permanent hold.
Easily undone permanent hold. And like they're weather resistant. They're not going to come. They hold up to the wind. Like they're absolutely great. So trigger clamps, C-clamps, highly recommended across the board. Utility knife. You're going to need a utility knife. Invest in a utility knife. It is just an incredibly versatile tool. I use it for cutting pink foam. I use it for stripping back insulation from wires. I use it for cutting this piece of string over here. Like, get a utility knife, make sure it's sharp and has easily replaceable blades so that you can swap them out when it becomes not sharp. Because you drag it around the ground enough, it's not going to be sharp for very long. Speaking of cutting implements, you're going to need saws of various kinds. So bare minimum, I love my miter saw, electric miter saw. I have gone through a couple different versions of miter saw as I have had more money to invest and found them at estate sales. And so like the one that I have right now, it's a Porter cable. It's a compound miter saw, which means I can pivot it. I can make different angle cuts in multiple directions at the same time, which is kind of cool. Honestly, not necessary for most things. But if you're doing crown molding ever, you have to have it.
Oh God, it's so useful.
Have to have it. Absolutely. But how many people do crown molding in a hunt? I don't know.
I mean, pros?
11?
Absolutely. So a miter saw of some kind, you don't have to spend a lot of money on it necessarily, but having one that you can just chop down, a chop saw to chop down 2x4s, way faster than trying to do it by hand. Very similarly, a jigsaw. I have jigsaws from Walmart. I have a Black & Decker jigsaw. I have picked up cheap jigsaws because I needed one for a project and I didn't have one handy. So I went to Walmart and bought the $20 one. And you know what? That thing is as reliable as my Black & Decker. Like, it's crazy. So, and the great thing about jigsaws is it has a very small blade, so you can do curved cuts that you cannot do with larger blades. So if you're trying to do, like, I want to make the outline of a Wendigo that we're going to put a big bright light behind, so you can see the shadow of it later, that I'm going to be cutting out with my jigsaw. And then the third one, a circular saw. I had a phenomenal shop teacher in high school who described the circular saw as the table saw is the most dangerous piece of equipment in this room. So humans being what we are, naturally, we made a portable version.
That's such a Whitehorn thing to say.
Is it? I miss Whitehorn. He was the greatest shop teacher ever.
Oh my God, that's such.
This is the same guy who started every class every semester. When you first came into the class, he had a collection of injuries from construction tools that he had gotten from friends and things. And so we got to see what the injuries that come of all the tools that we're going to use. And you know what? What a damn good way for me to learn how to respect these tools properly. Very effective.
Respect the tools, because you will lose.
The tool does not care. The tool will take your body part just as easily as it takes the wood. Like, no question.
Easier.
I feel like take a moment and recognize, like, middle school and high school shop teachers for somehow keeping track of 30 responsible, stupid children.
You know what?
All at once without having them die.
I think back to, like, I took a metal shop class in middle school where we learned spot welding and forging and brazing with an open flame. And, like, my God, how did you control 20 freaking eighth graders doing this stuff? Like,
especially and not to gender stereotype, but boys are pretty dumb.
Boys are dumb,
We're
especially
really
in middle
stupid,
school.
and especially in middle school, we'll do anything to make your friends laugh. So the
Yeah,
fact that they were
yeah.
able to control that and keep everyone in there alive, because
All the respect to
boys are
the
so
high school and middle school shop teachers out there. I have so much respect for you guys. A couple of shop teachers were huge influences on my life and gave me the skills that I needed to be where I am today. So, like, seriously, you have no idea what you were doing for the future. Please keep it up. God, I love
Do you
you.
ever think about that and just like, hey, let us use these tools? That was a really bad idea.
You know, we got to tour. We did an open house at the middle school my oldest is going to be going to next year, and got to see the shop that they have down there. And I'm looking around, I'm like, table saw, band saws. I see circular saws. I see miter saws. I'm like, oh, this takes me back. Oh my God, my son is going to be in this next year. My son, I know what he can do. Like,
Right?
I'm terrified.
That's why I sit there. It's just like, I know some of these people. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to the teachers who kept everyone alive and in one piece.
Absolutely. So yeah, a good miter saw, electric miter saw, a circular saw for cutting those big panels of wood, big sheets of plywood. Circular saw is the way to do it, and a jigsaw for the more fine work. Those are the three that I recommend. Again, brand not super important. I have a variety of different brands, mostly because I've bought them from estate sales. Something that I never thought about: a chalk line. Do you know what a chalk line is?
Yep, I do.
It's
Even I know
a
that,
little.
ironically.
It's a little case that is full of powdered chalk that has a string inside. You pull the string out, and the string is covered in powdered chalk. You stretch it across something, and then make it
You
nice and
snap
tight,
it.
and then you snap it, and it transfers a perfectly straight line onto your workpiece in chalk. Holy shit! When I'm laying
So
out
instead of trying to get a giant ruler and then use a marker and hope that it's straight and hope that it's doing all these things and drawing a line and hope that it didn't wiggle, you put the string, you snap it, there's your line. It also makes it really, really nice because it's chalk.
it's
not a
chalk.
marker. You can brush it off when you're done.
Yep. Honestly, when I am doing any kind of like faux brick in foam, I chalk it out now because laying it out with anything else takes so much freaking time and effort. But my wife and I can lay out chalk lines all the way down in minutes. Love my chalk line. And then, of course, because you're going to be making a giant mess as you were doing all of this stuff in your construction, so you need a way to clean that up, a shop vac.
And those are useful just to have. Vacuum out your car, clean up big messes of dog food. Hey, especially if you get a wet dry, hey, my bathroom's flooding. I can fix that, relatively speaking, once I turn the water off.
Absolutely. The one I have is just the rigid 12-gallon from Home Depot. It comes with a variety of attachments and it's all nice and everything attaches onto it so it all stays together. I can swap out the filters really easily. They're around, they're right around $100 depending on the size that you get. It could be from 90 to up to 120, just what I'm looking at on their website. Get a shop
They're
vac.
also really good for sucking up large spiders that you don't want to squish or take outside.
Also true. You know what? If you want a easy, small shop vac for various parts of your haunt, I also have a 5-gallon bucket vacuum attachment for any 5-gallon bucket that just snaps on real quick, and it's great for sucking stuff up.
That's genius.
Isn't it genius? Let me find the bucket vacuum real quick. Let's see what it costs.
$14.
Yeah. A shop vac is, again, one of
$30.
those. You can use it for anything and everything, and it just makes life so much easier.
So much easier. If you don't have a shop vac, go buy a shop vac. Like, irrelevant of the haunting, you need a shop vac in your life.
Yeah.
My interior vacuums are great. They do not stand up to big stuff like sticks and twigs. Same thing.
Screws.
Leaves, screws. They can't handle it. Get a shop vac.
Okay, so one more is a sander.
Oh my God, how did I forget a sander?
We know that haunts are rough. We're putting things together. We're not too worried about making things, easy to sit on and not get splinters up your ass. But you do have people walking through. You do want to make sure that your edges and your corners are not stabby, as much as possible.
This is a
So we're not
liability thing.
talking, yeah, this is a liability thing. This is a keep your actors safe, keep your guests safe, keep you safe as you're walking through in the dark. Make sure that, for everything you build, you at least do a hand test on all your walls, all your props, all your tables,
anything that people are
corners,
going to be, your
bumping
guests are going to be in the
into or
vicinity of.
touching or, reaching out and trying to grab. Run a sander over it, whether it's a sanding block or whether you, again, pick your price range. You can get, foam sanding blocks that do perfectly adequate job, or you can get a little circular sander and you just run it over and make sure that everything is as human proof as possible.
Yeah. There are a ton of different types of sanders out there. I have a palm sander that is great for doing those quick edges. It just vibrates back and forth. There are orbital sanders that actually like spin and are good for doing surfaces. There are belt sanders. Yeah. There are belt sanders that have a belt that just, runs back and forth and are great for taking lots of material off really quickly. And you know what else a belt sander is really good for? Distressing costumes.
Yes.
Yeah. So belt sanders, orbital sander, palm sander, any of those, any brand, super helpful. Okay. That's all I have for construction tools. And that's the point where I started talking about other tools that we want to use for our hunting. But we are saving that for part 2 of the Hunter's Toolbox, which will be released again on June 15th. If you want to be notified when that is released, definitely go check out our website, huntingyou.com, with just the letter U. Subscribe to the podcast or subscribe to us on any platform where you can find podcasts. Amazon Music, Apple Music, Podbean, Spotify, literally anywhere that you can find podcasts, you can find the Hunting You podcast. Subscribe and it will be automatically downloaded. Also check out our other social media, Instagram at Hunting University and YouTube at Hunting You, just the letter U. And you can find everything that we do in all of those places. That is it for part 1 of the Hunter's Toolbox. We will see you again in just a couple of weeks with the rest of the episode. But until then, from all of us here at Hunting You, happy hunting.
Bye, everybody.
We are incredibly grateful to all the sponsors who make this show possible, especially our premium sponsors, the Chamber of Hunters and VFX. You can learn more about our premium sponsors by checking out their websites at chamberofhunters.com and vfxcreates.com. Check out our website at huntingyou.com for more information on everything that we do. Hunting You can be reached via Facebook at facebook.com/huntingyou with just the letter U, or on Instagram under the handle at Hunting University, and YouTube under the handle at Hunting You. Hunting You is a production of Sanguine Creek Entertainment. All audio clips and sound effects are used under a Creative Commons Attribution or public domain license from Purple Planet Music at purple-planet.com or the Sound Bible at soundbible.com. Please see the show notes for more information on all the clips used in this episode.